Hello and welcome to the second lecture of section 4. Here we will discuss S3 storage classes, object lifecycle and permissions. S3 storage classes. So there are 4 storage classes. The first one and the most important one, S3 standard. S3 standard IA. IA stands for infrequent access. S3 one zone IA, and then Amazon Glacier. S3 standard, this is for data that requires high durability, availability and performance for frequently accessed data. So if your requirement is high durability, high availability and high performance, go for S3 standard. S3 standard IA. This is for the data that is accessed less frequently but requires rapid access when needed. S3 one zone IA. This is similar to standard IA, but standard IA will store your data in minimum of 3 availability zones. But one zone IA will store your data only in a single availability zone. That is a single data center if you want to think in a simple way. Glacier. Amazon Glacier is a secure, durable and extremely low cost storage service for data archiving. It's an archival solution from AWS. Glacier objects are not available for real-time access. You must note this point. So you cannot have a real-time access when you are storing your data in Glacier. You must first restore archived objects before you can access them. So access time can vary from 1 minute to 12 hours. S3 one zone IA has been launched recently, that is in April 2018. There's another storage class as well. It's called S3 RRS. RRS stands for Reduced Redundancy Storage. It is designed for non-critical reproducible data that can be stored with less redundancy than the standard storage class. With the launch of S3 one zone IA, this RRS storage class might get deprecated in near future. So for the time being, you can just ignore it. Now let us compare the 4 storage classes based on these 4 parameters. So we have 3 standard, S3 standard IA, S3 one zone IA and Amazon Glacier, and we will be comparing it for durability, availability SLA and availability zones. So let us see what happens in case of S3 standard. S3 standard is having a durability of a design durability of 11 nines. That is, it is almost 100%. So the chances of data loss when you are storing your data in S3 standard is quite low or is almost 0. So you can rest assured that if you are storing your data in S3 standard, it is almost 100% safe from any damage or any loss. Design for availability is 99.9%, that is 4 nines. And availability SLA is 3 nines. So SLA stands for service level agreement. So Amazon is giving you in writing that the object, whatever you have put in S3 standard, whatever you have stored in S3 standard, will be available for 99.9% of the time. So this is also close to 100%. So you can think this as you will be having access to your data whenever you require, and it is replicated in the data is replicated in at least 3 availability zones. It can be more than 3 as well, because it's greater than or equal to 3. For S3 standard, let us see. So durability is same as S3 standard. Standard IA durability is 11.9, same like standard. And then designed for availability is a little lower than this. This is 4 nines and this is 3 nines. Availability SLA is lower. It is just 99%. So if higher availability is not a criteria for you, you can go ahead with S3 standard IA. And number of availability zones where the data is replicated, it is same as S3 standard, that is greater than or equals to 3. So S3 standard IA differs only in case of availability. It has lower availability than S3 standard. Now let us see S3 1 zone A. S3 1 zone A, you can think this is quite similar to standard IA, but with a lower number of replication in availability zones. It has only one zone. It will store your data only in one availability zone. So S3 1 zone, the name itself signifies this availability zone number. Okay, now let us go to Glacier. What happens here? So durability is 11 nines and availability is, this is, I mean, you cannot have a real-time access of your data when you have stored it in Glacier. Number of availability zones where it is replicated is equals to or more than 3. So here you must note that Amazon Glacier is not for real-time availability. There would be a delay, and the delay might go from 1 minute to 12 hours. We will see this in detail in later on in this lecture. Now the most important criteria, that is price. What price you are going to pay for these storage classes? So S3 standard, here's the no, it's not the figure, it's just the symbolic representation. S3 standard IA, here is for 1 zone IA and Glacier. So what does this signify? You have to pay a higher price for S3 standard, and while you are going from left to right, the price will decrease. Okay, so S3 standard is the highest one in terms of pricing and Glacier is the cheapest one in terms of pricing. S3 standard IA and 1 zone IA are similar services, but as 1 zone is replicated only in a single zone, it has been priced less than standard IA. Now what are the use cases? S3 standard, as we have already discussed, is for high availability. If high availability is an important criteria, go for standard S3 standard. Then we have static website hosting, quick and real-time availability of images, PDF, etc. of web or mobile apps, and then CDN. S3 standard also offers you CDN via Amazon CloudFront. It is one of the coolest services in AWS, CloudFront CDN. It's a global content distribution network. Now let us go to S3 standard IA. Here the files require access relatively rarely, but if necessary must be accessed quickly. Recommended for disaster recovery, data backup. Lower availability than S3 standard. We have already seen this. S3 1 zone IA. So S3 one zone IA is same as S3 standard IA, but here you don't require redundancy in storage. So if you think your data is not that critical, then you can go ahead with one zone IA. Glacier is most suitable for archives and backup copies of data with long duration storage, at the same time where you don't require real-time access. So wherever you require high availability, you go for S3 standard, but the price of S3 standard is a bit on the higher side. If you want a cheaper solution and you can go ahead with not so high availability, you can go for standard IA or one zone IA. For data archival and backup, use Glacier. Now let us see what is object lifecycle. S3 object lifecycle. Suppose you have a payroll processing application where you are generating payslips once at the end of every month. So I think logically you can guess what's the pattern of access of the payslips. Yes, they are heavily accessed and downloaded for the first few weeks, and then the traffic for accessing them gradually reduces. After about a month, when the new payslip is generated, the frequency of accessing the old payslip is highly reduced. Now, the frequency of access of the new payslip is very high. So, every new payslip we will store in a standard storage class. That is, new payslip goes to S3 standard. Then, after 30 days, for cost saving, we can move these payslips from standard to, let us see, say 3 standard IA, that is infrequent access. So if you have noticed, we have uploaded to S3 standard, and then we have after 30 days we have moved it to S3 standard IA. Now after around 2 months a payslip is rarely accessed, right? But it still needs to be preserved for compliance and legal requirements. So we can move it to Glacier. Now the same set of payslips after 30 days from here are moved to Glacier. In this way, we are saving a lot of money. So this, I think this is clear, right? From here to here it's 30 days, and again from here to here it's 30 days. So from the date of generation and to moving it into Glacier, it's 60 days. So after 60 days we are moving into Glacier. You can choose these numbers based on your requirement. They are just examples. Lifecycle rules in AWS console. So whatever we have seen in the previous slide, this can be represented like this. While creating a lifecycle rule, can be represented like for example current version and object creation transition to standard IA after 30 days of creation. You can see this days after creation. This is marked as 30. Transition to Amazon Glacier after 60 days. Days after creation is 60. So this is how lifecycle rules help you in cost optimization. And now let us see S3 permissions. So by default, always remember all S3 resources, buckets, objects are private. So that simply means that only the resource owner, that is an AWS account that created it, can access the resource. No one else can access your bucket and objects until and unless you explicitly allow. So permissions, the resource owner can grant access to buckets or objects through S3 resource-based policies or IAM user policy. Resource-based policies are of two types: bucket policies and S3 access control list. And next is IAM user policy, that is we have already discussed in section 2 of this course. So here we will discuss only about bucket policies and S3 access control list, that is ACL. Bucket policies. Bucket policies are attached only to S3 bucket. Permissions defined in the policy is applied to all the objects of the bucket. So remember, S3 bucket policies are applied to all the objects in the bucket. Policy can specify allow or deny actions. Now ACL, S3 access control list. If you want to manage permissions on individual objects within a bucket, S3 ACLs enable you to apply policies on the objects themselves. So what's the difference between a bucket policy and ACL? Bucket policy is applicable for all the objects throughout the bucket, but if you want a policy where you want to define a policy for individual objects, then you need to go for ACL. Here it's written bucket policies can only be applied at the bucket level. Okay, so do not get confused between bucket policy and access control list. Always remember, bucket policy, as the name suggests, is applied at the bucket level, whereas ACL is applied at the object level, individual object. How does authorization work with multiple access control mechanisms? So this is a question. This sounds a bit complicated. Let me simplify this for you. What happens when all the three kinds of policies, that is an IAM policy, S3 bucket policy and S3 ACL, are present at the same time? So the answer of this, in accordance with the principle of least privilege, and we have seen this in IAM section as well, decisions default to deny, and an explicit deny always trumps an allow. That is, deny always takes precedence over allow. For example, if an IAM policy grants access to an object, the S3 bucket policy denies access to the object, and there is no S3 ACL, then access will be denied. Similarly, if no method specifies an allow, then the request will be denied by default. So only if no method specifies a deny and one or more methods specify an allow will the request be allowed. Okay, so this screen is quite important as far as concepts are concerned. So read it thoroughly, twice or thrice, or as per your requirement, and move ahead. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.